Yeah, so now let's discuss what we discussed yesterday. Let's discuss something new today, which basically is starting it from the scratch. So we had an overview about the Tableau, okay, and now we have to discuss one by one what is Tableau, how it is working in a different modules. So we discussed yesterday how we can create a file. Like I hope everyone is able to install, perform their installation. Okay, so this is, let's say, a blank new file. Okay, right now I have installed Tableau 18.5, but we have the latest version 19.3. Okay, you can install that. There is no much difference. Only the bugs have been resolved, and there are few additional things. Okay, which is implemented. The more changes in 19 is as per the server level. Uh, so now let's start with the first thing. So we discussed this page yesterday. On the left hand side, you will identify the different files, kind of files, which you can connect as a data source. So Tableau, the first thing how to start a development in a Tableau is that first you have to connect to a database or data source. Okay, so when I say data source, it is the data which is required for the reporting. So first of all, you just need to identify which one data set I have to connect. It could be Excel, it could be JSON file, it could be database server like Oracle, Postgre, SQL Server. Okay, so then first, so as an analyst, as a data analyst, we need to identify where my data is. So now that I know where my data is, I can identify which need to be connected. Okay, so let's say my data set is right now an Excel file. Okay, so I go here and I have a data set here. I just click here, so I have a data joined in my data source, and whenever I connect my data source, be it SQL Server, be it any other database, you will identify the list of the tables in that particular sheet or in that database server. So let's say all the tables will be coming here like it is showing here, okay, as an object. Now you can select one or many tables and you can create a relationship between them as per your requirement. So let's say I have these two tables, coordination and main, okay, and these two I can view my data by clicking over this view data section. Here I can see that I have something block, which is block Q1 point order X and Y. Okay, this is one data set. So when I click on this, I can analyze the data that okay, it's question, remark, rest token, block, CID, value. So I can say that block is my one relationship key between these two tables. As ideally, whenever we create a relationship between our tables, first of all, before doing in any of the tools, you just need to first understand these are my data sources, how they are related. So, so let's first take this table. So when I bring these two tables together, okay, and when I go here as the relationship key, it automatically identifies block as my relationship key. So Tableau has some augmented intelligence implemented, okay, which basically identified that okay, uh, it could be joining based on their block's name because the column names are same, okay, and if there are multiple columns with the same name, then also it can define a primary or composite key. You can say that. So that is how it basically intuitive enough to identify what are the relationship, how it is working, and all those stuff. Okay. Let's say now once they are related, you can say, okay, I have to do a left outer join with main. So when I do a left outer join with main, it means that all the records from the main will come and coordination with the common key relationship should come. Okay. But Only the records which are not in the coordination, and are not in the basically related to the main will not come. Okay, so that is how you can make inner join, left join, right outer join, full outer join. If I have multiple join clause, I can add another columns. Okay, let's say I have a CID column also, and I can join based on, let's say, any CID like this. And once this is related, you can see how your data is changing. Okay, so if you can see, this coordination is coming blank because I made one relationship which is not a right relationship. I know that upfront, so that is why I remove now. So you can see the relationship is coming fine. I analyze it, and now I have put it in the table. Okay, so now my relationship is identified. Now these two data sets is coming from a same data source, okay, which basically an Excel which name is a data for report. Now I could have a scenario where one data is coming from one Excel sheet, another data is coming from another Excel sheet, and I want to join that data in a Tableau. Okay, there is a concept of blending, data blending, but which we will talk later. First, we will talk about joining. Okay, so I have these two data sets which have been joined. Now they are coming from a same table. Okay, so now we will later discuss how it, if one of these Excel is, one sheet is coming from Excel A, another sheet is coming from Excel B, how we can do that. We have an option here to connect add. So you have these options available, same thing is coming available, but how you can connect, select your tables. Let's say I have another table, I have another sheet here, and let's say I have one of the table coming from main, which is initial one, another one is coming from here. Okay, so I have two relationships coming up, and you can see I can join them between two. Okay, so it depends on how you want it. Okay, so in a single data source we can have a heterogeneous tables which are coming from different data set, different type of data sources. So that is the one thing which basically is very much clear, that in one data set I can have one data source, I can have a multiple tables joined. Table A can be from source A, table B can be from source B. Okay, so now these two things are joined. Now once these two things are joined, I can give a name and I can say block analysis. Now this connection, what this connection means, we will talk in detail now. The connection means like it could be live or extract, right? Which means that when it says live, it means it is not referring the source for the analysis every time, every moment as a live connection. So whenever the Excel changes the data, okay, or my database has a update in the database, okay, I will, and I am viewing the report. Let's say I am opening the report and I am viewing the report, let's say 8 o'clock, and my Excel is having a sale of $1,000, right? Now at 8:05 my sale is increased to $1,005. So if I refresh my button, okay, of the view, automatically it will have the $1,005. Basically, it shows the live value at the dashboard. Only thing is that you just need to refresh once, okay, at the view. Let's say we refresh up our web page. That is how you have to just do it. So the connection is coming live, which means the data as per the latest data set is showing at the report. Now, what is the extract is that we come up with a scenario uh, where we just need to see a snapshot of our data. Let's say in many organization, which is more a live kind of real life scenario, where every morning they want to see the previous day sales. So what happens in the data warehouse, which we discussed yesterday? The data warehouse is a layer which is used for the reporting. it has all the data set and it gets the data refreshed every end of the day. So around 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock or morning 3, 4 o'clock, whatever the schedule time for the particular organization, they refresh their data set. Once the data is refreshed, you will have the latest data in the table. Now the table is being used for the reporting by Tableau. Now that report which you are seeing will have the latest data if it is a live connection. But if it's extract, what it means that Tableau creates a snapshot of a report. Basically, it creates a temporary file, okay, for Tableau in the Tableau format, so that it brings all the data together and create that file so that Tableau can read the data every time instead of going to the database server. And now this concept I will explain to you using a Excel. So let's say I have database which is my data source. Now I have Tableau desktop where I create my reports, and I have a Tableau server where I view the report. Okay, so let's first discuss Tableau server. So this is the place where I have my report available. Okay, now what happens when this we open this report at the Tableau? It reads the data from the database. So it goes to the database and reads the data. Okay, so let's discuss one small. So what happened? Tableau server goes and put a read request to the database and request the data for the request for data in form of query. Tableau requests the data in form of query to the database. Now what happens? It responds with data set in case of live connection. So this is how the live connection was working. Okay. Now the same thing has a little bit tweak in the extract. So what happened? This database request has been sent. Okay,
Dinesh, Dinesh, are you showing something? Because I could see only the Excel.
but I am changing the data. Can you see that?
No, I could see only the Excel in your screen.
We are showing the data and we are working on the Excel and
Yeah,
showing the analysis. Are
sir,
you able to
Hello?
see
this is
my
Radhakrishna.
screen? Yeah.
No, no, sir. I am unable to see your screen. I have an Excel sheet
We
only.
are, we are unable to see your screen last 5-10 minutes actually.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, now Excel only we are able to see.
Yeah, it's fine. Can you see Tableau also?
Yeah, now only we are able to see.
Okay, so then I don't know. You were not. I have shown Tableau for a very long time. You just.
We now only we are able to see because that is why I interrupted and told you.
Yeah, but 5-10 minutes is a long period of time. Like I hope you're following the stuff. Then only you have not interrupted me. Please interrupt me if you're not seeing that because uh, I was showing the all data sets, joins and everything. Okay. Please feel free to interrupt if you are not able to see the screen at least. Okay. So now what I was explaining here, I have a live connection and extract connection. Okay. So I have a Tableau server. The Tableau
Okay?
server requests the data for the database, and I'm talking about the live connection. Okay. So the Tableau server requests for the data for the database. Once the data is requested from the database through a query, database responds with a data set, and Tableau server reads the data and report is being shown with the live data. Okay, this is a case of a live connection. Okay, we were talking about the live connection in the data source. So we talked about different tables, how we can connect the different tables from different data sets. Okay, then we talked about what is main thing which was about the live connection and extract connection. So now I explained about what is live connection, extract connection, but what I am trying now to create a representation view so that we understand and clear our concept that okay, this means an extract, this means a live. So live means that database is directly readable from the data server, which is basically Tableau server. So whenever my report is opened, it is connecting to the data SQL, whichever the data set is the underlying layer, read the data and respond with the data set. So my table, let's say, when I'm opening the report is having 1000 sale. Okay, after 5 minutes, my sale moved to 1005. Okay, if it's a live connection, automatically it will reflect with the latest data set. You just need to refresh the page. Okay, but in case of extract, what happens that this data, let's say it's a scheduled request. Okay, the request shows for the data is scheduled. Okay, so it is not like every time when the user opened, okay, it basically reads the data. It is more like that every time when I request, basically let's say I have a refresh, I was discussing a scenario which is more likely that every end of the day my data get refreshed. So let's say morning at 12 o'clock my data of a sales refreshes for an enterprise. So all the data at that time is being refreshed, and let's say 1 hour it took when my data source is updated with the latest data, let's say at 1 o'clock in the morning. Now I can reschedule a extract of a Tableau, which means that it will read the request, send the request to the database or the Excel file, what is my data source. Then it take a respond of that particular request, okay, and here creates an extract, okay, and this extract is basically being used as a data set, and this extract creator is being used by Tableau server for its reporting analysis. Okay, now whenever you open this particular kind of report, okay, in your Tableau server, it just sends a request. Okay, it just sends a request to the it just sends a request, okay, to the extract. Okay, it does not get a sends a request to the table directly. Okay, it just sends a request to the extract, and then whatever the extract responds, it just read by Tableau. Okay, that is basically it happens that you get an underlying extract layer, which is just a snapshot of our data. And now what this extract is, this extract is in the new version of Tableau is called as a .hyper file. In the old version of the Tableau, it was .tde file, which is Tableau extract and .hyper. Basically, it's just a patent technology of a Tableau. .hyper is a patent technology of a Tableau, which basically considers that okay, whatever the different tables, whatever different sources are there, post their joining and post their query, general query, which is created for all the tables. It will extract the data and store the data in form of a physical file. Okay, that physical file will have a denormalized data. So let's say I have 4 or 5 tables normalized. It creates one data which is a denormalized. You can consider it as a layman language. We call it as a cube. Okay, it create a file which is in a cube form. Now that particular file read it by a tablet based on their request. Okay, so this is basically a general way of how it works. Okay, this is general way like how an extract works and how a live connection works. Okay, so now we go back again to the main point. So let's say it is my live connection. So whenever I have to use the live connection is like a scenario where I have to get the live data. Let's say I want my extract to get refreshed every 5 minutes. It does not make sense. So it's better to get a live connection. But if I want to say that, okay, whatever my extract shows is should be there for, let's say, half of the day, should be there for a half of the day. So let's say if that is the case, it should be an extract which get refreshed every 4 hours or 6 hours. That is how we can do that. Okay. Now you see there are two connections, live and extract. Live we understood. Let's say I create extract. Okay. So you can see there are two options are coming additionally. One is edit and one is refresh. Now let's click on edit. What edit is that if I want to filter my extract data, okay, so let's say going back to the same Excel, okay, if I have, let's say, 1 million record in my Excel, my extract area, and I want to create an extract, okay, so that let's say I have 1 million records in my database, okay, and I think my Tableau report requires only for particular region, let's say north region only, and my reporting is only for north region, so definitely it reduces to, let's say, 0.2 million, okay, records. Now this reduction, like how I can determine that, okay, I just need to create an extract of particular filter data. So that is the option which basically helps you to filter the data further, so that you create an extract which is for limited data as per your requirement. The benefits are that if I limit the data, the performance of the report or the will increase because the extracted data is of a less size. Okay, so I go here and I can see that, okay, these are different filters, okay, which is there. I can go and click on this particular stuff and I can identify what could be my filters which I can select. So let's say I just select only for Q1. This data is having only for Q1. We can use another data set, but just for a general purpose, we just add the filter here. I can add a multiple fields as a filter so that I can limit my data. Okay, so this is one of the basic stuff. Then let's say if I have a scenario where I have to, let's say, only add the incremented daily data, which I come up with a real life scenario how it is. Let's say I have a sales data and I have an extract which is created till 24th of August. Okay, till yesterday I have a file ready. Okay, now I created a file yesterday and everything is done. So I have my data set available till 24th. Now what I want, that I don't want that all data to get processed to create an extract. So again, going to this Excel sheet. So let's say I have 1 million record in my data set on 24th of August. Okay. And let's say today we have, let's say, zero point 0.1 million records additionally on 25th of August. Okay. Now what I want, if I again have to pre-process everything, what will happen that instead of processing 1.1, okay, I have to process 1.1 in order to create my extract again, okay, by default view. But let's say if I decide that, okay, do not do it everything again, the all data which is basically been shared till 24th of August is totally fine, and now just add the incremental data, which is basically add only the lesson data based on the date. So now this incremental data you can define based on a particular condition. So I can have a date field, right? I can have a date field which I can select, which could be one of the way that, okay, I can select my date field here. Let's say it's a date field. So it will only select the additional new record. So it will check that, okay, this increment has been done and this is now being a new date coming. So new date will basically get processed and added to the extract file. Okay, so append the data. Now let's say you have a scenario where in a day 5-6 times data gets refreshed. Okay, now you will use the date field for my connection. Okay, then what happens, you have a date and time. Okay, you have a date and time stamp. So then it will consider based on their date and time that okay, this is my recent time and this is my last time that it is at but this threshold the data has was populated. So I will add the recent data. Okay, in order to make the scenario simple in ETL or in data warehouse concepts, we keep an ID. Okay, we keep an ID for each record, and that ID is basically for, let's say, ETL ID or transaction ID we call it, which basically used for the transactional or ETL purpose. So those are in a integer form. Okay, so then you can connect that particular ID also, let's say, which I done here, the CID. Okay, so it is just an ID and only the incremental IDs. Let's say I populated till, let's say, 24 August 9,999. Okay, so all the records after 9,999 with a ID will get processed. The benefit of this particular ID is that it is an integer field which where the performance of the processing will increase, and secondly it is easy to maintain. Okay, the new records are easy to maintain at a data warehouse level. So these are the two ways. You will not find any alphabetical field here. Okay, Tableau has is already have an intelligence that it will only show the integer field and it will show the date field in this list. Okay, and you select whatever you want as an increment. Okay, and use it. Okay, now let's say I want to create a sample of a top 100 records. Okay, so I can give a random value and based on this top 100 records of a query, whatever the query is returning, based on the what, the top 100 or 200 record can be used as a data set. Okay, now I have an option of aggregation. Okay, so what this aggregation does is basically it aggregates the data for visible dimensions. So let's say my field right now, you can see these are the all the columns in my data set, and let's say I remove a column or basically hide the column which is at a more granular level. Okay, let's say I have a data where I have a sale of a data which basically customer ID, product ID and sale, right? 3 columns. Now let's say I hide the product ID from my data set. So what it means that you want to aggregate a data at a visible layer, which means I have a multiple records for my customer. The Tableau automatically will aggregate the data for each customer and aggregate it so that it will analyze it properly. So you have only one record for one customer because you have a duplicity earlier because of the multiple products. You remove the products, so now only one record is there and one record it will aggregate at the level of a customer. Okay, so that is how it does the aggregation. It is rarely used because it does not make sense, okay, many times, but yeah, it gives you the flexibility that the group by feature, if you are trying to do at your query level, okay, you can do it instead of here. Okay, now whenever you have a option of history here, so you can see at what time the extract has been refreshed, what is your schedule. You can hide the unused column. Okay, this is very important. It seems very simple thing that okay, it hides the unused column, but why it is used is very important. So let's say first of all, let me press okay. Okay, invalid multiple input. Okay, oh sorry, I just give a value. Okay, so now let's say I created an extract here. Okay, now we were discussing about why unhide column. Okay, so what happens, let's say I have 100 columns in my data set, out of which only 10 columns are used for all the reporting purposes. So the IT columns are necessary getting into data, created into extract and all those stuff, right? If I unhide that column, basically I don't include that column in my analysis, it will increase the performance of the extract, and which corresponds to the performance of the Tableau report. So that is how it happens. So that is why unhiding will help in increasing the performance of the report. Okay. Now once you have this edit and all, you have an option of refresh so that you can refresh your extract if manually you want. Now next section is this two filters, and this is how they are different. So when you click on the extract, you have this option edit, and this filter that comes up, which is basically called as a extract filter. Okay. So what the purpose of this, to limit the data of this particular extract, right? Now you have these filters, which is basically called as a data source filter. Okay. So when I click on these data source filter, you have the same option. Okay. You have plus all the alphabetical field and all the other field. Okay. But what happens that it breaks the data. Okay. It creates the extract with whatever the field condition is there, but it is now once your extract is created, let's say your extract created for Q1, and now you want to further filter the particular extract. So that basically concept you can use that. Let's say I have created an extract, and now I identified, okay, I want my data, everything in the extract, because it is being used for a one extract can be used for a multiple reports. Okay. So let's say I have a whole data, but now I don't want in my report this null records, so I just press OK and press and excludes the null records. Okay. So now this data source filter is a top of the this extract filter. Okay. So when you do live connection, if I do live connection, you will not get this section. I am doing it again. If I do live, you see I am not getting any extract filter sections. Okay. But I will have this data source filter. Okay. So there is a objective of this data source filter. It is being used just to make sure that in case you want to filter the data while pulling it for the report, be it extract or be it live, you can add this condition there. Okay. Now let's say I have this condition. Okay. And now we go and discuss about this small section. Okay. Where we discuss in detail what basically it is all about. So now you can see this is just a preview window, which basically is in a grid form here. And if I click here like that, it will show me an layer form. Okay. Where I have all the fields and all those stuff. Okay. Now in this case, you can see the metadata of the particular report. Okay. When I click here, you can see I have this few more options, how many records are there, can you show a license and all. I'll explain about each of them. Okay. Now here it is easy for me to understand what is my field name. When you say field name, it is a field name in the Tableau. So let's say tomorrow I want to rename this field. Okay. And this I have a same column block in two dataset, main and coordination, which you can see above. So I just want to make sure that, okay, let's do something instead of block. Okay. I just want to rename it. I'm sorry. C underscore block. I want to give something like that. But this is the name of the column at my remote location. So in coordination, I know that this is the name which I have to refer, but this is my name which is being used at the Tableau reporting layer. Okay. And this is my name which is being available at my database data source. And this is how I can refer that remote field name is what. Okay. Now when I click here, you have few things. Okay. You have an option first of all to reset the name, which means that it moves back to the same name which is was there earlier. Now second thing is that I can copy the values. Why I copy the values? So that I can see that, okay, what are the different kinds of values are there. I can hide the column. So basically if I have, let's say, two data set having a same block, you can see one block is there and one block is at the bottom. So I can hide one column. If I hide this column, it will not be available in my reporting layer. I can show hidden, okay, so that I can know that okay, there is a column which is been hidden, but I can view it here, but it does not mean that it will available at the reporting layer. For the reporting layer, it is hidden. Okay. Now, when I right click here or right click another column, okay, I can see create a calculated field, create a group, create a bins. Okay. These things we will discuss in detail at a second stage of our reporting. Okay, I'll right now pass it on because creating calculated field, group and bins will make more sense and will be able to understand it more when you see it in the report. Okay, but this is a describe. Describe means that when I click over it, it shows me the detail about this. Okay, so it says that okay, this is a continuous measure. We will discuss what is a continuous later. Okay, once we add a reporting layer analysis, uh, but you just make know that continuous would be something which basically having a 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, which basically sequence of the values, right? And it is a database column. Okay, it is the remote column name is this, which means this is a sheet and this is the column name. What is my data type? What is the aggregation for the default? Okay, so let's say there are few things which you want to show it as an average every time, so then you can change the aggregation to the average, and then it shows okay, what are the different data sets. So when I click on the data load, it shows me it has a value from 1 to 938. If it is something, let's say country, when I load, I will find all the data of the particular country set. Okay, so now this is my data set which I can understand right now. Okay, and when I go and click here, I get one more option here, analysis. Okay, plus I have one more option here which basically we have not seen, that I can change my data type. Okay, so let's say this data type is in string. Okay, why? Because you can see there is ABC here. When I click over it, I have a flexibility to change my data type, which are the number, whole, date, time, date, string, boolean. I hope everyone understand, but let me just explain. Boolean means true and false. Okay, so this expects the column to have only two values, true and false. Okay, date and date time, how they are different is basically date will have the date, let's say 26th August. Date time will have 26th August 9 a.m. Okay, with the time zone. Now number and decimal. The number decimal means it expects something like 19.2, 21.6, or furthermore you can give the decimal values. The whole value is just a whole number. Now you have another thing which is basically geographical role. Okay, so it only shows when you can see you have, it is a geographical role, right? So when you have a field like country, city and all, you can assign that okay, this is my country, this field is representing my country or city, and I can assign this city role to the particular field. So whenever I do that, you can see this shows something like a globe. Okay, so when this globe is showing, you understand that okay, this globe is basically a geographical view. Okay, now this helps in a scenario when you create a plot of maps. Okay, so when you do a plotting of a map, automatically Tableau knows that this is a geographical role. I have to bring lat and longitude for the particular field, and it will assign that. We will see that thing in detail, but this is just an overview so that you feel that okay, everything is covered in the view. Now there is on the left hand side you have a data interpreter. What data interpreter is? It will only available only when you are using a text file. Okay, which basically could be Excel or whatever. It is a just an engine, okay, of a Tableau which basically reads the Excel and just try to create as a cleaning information. Okay, so what it does, let's say I have a field, okay, I have a data where I have a series of null records. Okay, null, 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 like that you have all the data. When I click on the data interpreter, it will read the interpretation of the data. Okay, and it just identifies okay, You have listed sheet A to review the results. I can click over this, and I can see a result that okay, this is my data set. This is my main. This is my data. You can see the data is being created like this is my data, right? This is my coordination. For all the data, it just analyzes that okay, like you can see this, that I don't have a field and all those stuff. It just identifies. So it basically it identifies and checks that okay, this is not a right format. This is not a, let's say I have a null record here, a series of null record. It identifies okay, it is having a not a list of null records. You need to clean this data. Okay, basically it just you can say one program which helps us in cleaning a data. So I don't have to go and check the data. If I go and check the data like this, I can be easily identified where my data sets are there. It's just a program which helps us. Now you have this refresh data source. Is basically when I click on this particular refresh data source, it refreshes the structure of the data sets. So let's say I have 5 to 6 columns, 6 columns in my main table. Okay. Now at the back end, I added 2 more columns. Okay. Now if I click on this particular option, it will refresh my structure imported to my data source. So now it will bring with 6 plus 2 8 columns in my particular data source. So I will have the new 2 columns showing in my data sets. So this is how you can use this refresh button to refresh a data source itself. So this will use in a scenario where the extract or the basic structure of the data set is being changed. Now let's do an extract so that I can show you what happens. Okay, live we all know. So let's do an extract and we just keep it okay. And now when I click on go to sheet, okay, you see it asks me for create an extract, right? And it got me to create an extract in a block analysis hyper. Where it is saving a file in a Tableau repository in your documents folder. You can change this folder to as per your requirement, and there it will save the extract file. Okay, now whenever I create an extract file, you can see now you are getting at a reporting layer where you have to create your own report, develop your own report. Okay, so now you can see here you have a block analysis here, which basically is showing that to will do extracts, which is like something like that. Okay, now let me just create one more source which is based on a live connection. Okay, so let's say I just create one extract on normal data source with a live connection. Okay, I keep the live connection because I want to show you how they are different. Okay, so if you can see this, the block analysis, which is the extract, you have a two icons. We do have an icon which have a two different data sets. So it shows a two cylinder like that. A live connection is just very straightforward normal cylinder. So by looking into any data source now, you can identify that okay, this is my live and this is my extract. Okay, so Tableau is more about what you do and analyze. So it gives a feature that okay, this is live, this is extract. You don't have to go here, right click, add your data source to identify that this is a live or extract. By looking into this only, you can say it's a live connection or it's an extract connection. Okay, now this is my data set. Okay, now we are now slowly moving to a reporting where we can create our own report. But before doing that, I have to explain everything which is basically in this particular data source first. Okay, and then we will discuss from left to right one by one all section. Okay, and then top left to right, so that we cover every feature which is there, and then we will start creating different use cases. Okay, and one by one we will cover everything. So now block analysis, if I go here right and click, and you see there's an option to edit data source. What it does, it basically it moves you back to the data source window where you can see the data. Okay, then you have a refresh. What the refresh does, it just refreshes your data source. So let's say you feel somewhere the data is been populated, right? But I don't know why it is not showing in my report. I just click a refresh here, okay? And when I refresh it, automatically, manually, I am pushing my data source to go and check the data and bring the latest data, okay? So this is just a normal refresh. It basically goes and reads the data again and show it to you. View data is nothing but you can see the data, how it is coming for your reporting there. The renaming is the file. You can duplicate the data set. Why we are going to use a duplicate? Because in some scenarios, I have, let's say, one table linked to a data source, and let's say I want to create more tables separately. Instead of join, I want to consider and create them separately as a data source. And I don't want to go again and give the user ID and password. I duplicate it, okay, and then change the, let's say I do a duplicate here, okay. Now I have a duplicate of this. I go again here, and instead of, let's say I don't want these things, okay, I want to directly do it. So I don't have to again define the connection of the reports and all those stuff. I can reuse that thing, okay. Okay, and there could be another application which may I am not able to think of like duplicate, but I can understand that it does not happen so soon. Okay, so it does not happen like that. I just close this form because it's having a lot of erroneous data. Okay, that sheet is not a proper data, so that is why it was showing error, which we also identified when we did the data interpreter. Now, once we have this particular data sets, okay, I right click here. You have a view data, rename, close. What do you mean by close is basically I am going to delete my data source from my Tableau report. So basically, if I close this option, my data source will get deleted. All the corresponding sheets. So let's say I have 10 sheets which are using block analysis. It will be also ask for deletion. Okay. So I can't keep a data source or remove a data source, but want and can keep a reports using the data source parallel. Okay. Now I have this extract data and use extract data sets. Okay, so extract data is showing only when you already have a extract created. Okay, so when I go here, right click, you will find it does not give an option for use an extract because it's a live one. But if I do an extract data here, again I get the window where I can filter the data of extract filter and create extract, and once it is done, automatically you will have this option. Now this is the place where you refresh your extract. Okay, that refresh was just a data source refresh which we saw when I show it to you in the data source section. This extract is only refreshing your extract. You can append the data from a file. Okay, if I click here append, I can have another extract file, right? And I can append that data in this particular stuff. Okay, I can queue a computation now, which basically being used when you don't have to use it in your live scenarios, because I personally recommend, with all my experience, you should do a calculations once you create an extract and do that. Okay, now let's say I want to remove an extract. I want to go back again to the live. I can click on this and automatically it will remove. History and properties talks about the different history of when the refreshes has happened. Property talks about like where your extract is being placed, right? That is how, what are the filters are applied, like that. Okay, now we talked about these things. Now what are the different data source filters, which we already talked about? We are just trying to say it will open that particular we have removed the null, right? So you can go and see the null and you can see that okay, this data source filter is there. Date properties is something is like, now when if I click on this, so let's say there are scenarios where I say that my week of my data starts from Monday to Sunday instead of Sunday to Monday. So let's say week definition date different definition of a date fields like week start date. Okay, will be starting from Sunday instead of Monday. So you can define whatever they. Plus similarly the fiscal year. Let's say I define my fiscal year starts from April instead of January. You can select your month, okay, and identify it that all the fields in my data sets which are based on a date field will consider April as month 1 instead of January as month 1. Okay, if you see that is not required because you may work in Australia, right, where you don't have to you follow the January to February, March, December culture, let's say, but in next scenarios like India where you follow March to March or January, April to March option. Okay, so there you have to use a fiscal option. Okay, now when I click here, I have two more data things. One is publish to the server and add to save data source. Publish to server means that you can publish the data sets to a Tableau server. Okay, when I click here publish server, it basically talks me about where I have to publish it. It asks me that the credential of the server, and this will publish the data source at my server. So what happens that this, let's say block analysis is one of the important data source which is being used, let's say, by hundreds of reports. Okay, and you see that it could be used for many people, like all the people will be able to use this multiple reports. Now all the people want to use this data source to create a multiple reports. Now we know that thing, so I will publish that data source, okay, at a Tableau server. Now earlier if I have 100 reports using the block analysis, okay, and 100 times I have to refresh every day all the reports. Now instead of this, if it is a published data source, only once it will publish, and all the reports linking to this particular published data source will get a updated data every time. So basically it also a process of optimizing your performance of a server. That let's say I have same data server created in used in multiple reports and they are getting refreshed every day. So why I am doing this thing? I should keep one data source which is having a latest data and same data and getting refreshed every day once, and I have 100 reports which are linked to the particular data server and that basically publish data source. Now how you can connect a data source which is published in a Tableau server. So you have an option here, Tableau server. You can see this. So when you click this, you can give your credentials and you can follow the path where your data source is published, and you can use it for your reporting. Okay, so that is how we use the published data source, and that is being used in detail so that you can make sure that you can optimize your performance of the server. For the report level, it would be same because it is just a data source. Only thing is that it is having a, for report level it does not going to add any performance because it is pointing to the one data source. But at the server level where you are refreshing hundreds reports, 100 data source, you are refreshing only one data source. Now add to save data source. What it means that if I do add to save data source, it create a file .tds. You can see this .tds, which is a Tableau data source file. So when this TDS file is created, if I go to this option, I can switch back to this particular window. Okay, you see there is an option here, save data source, and you identify that you have a block analysis showing here. Okay, why? Because let's say I may have to use this block analysis again and again, right, in multiple data reports. So then I keep it as a save and try to use it for my reporting day. Okay, so just to keep the stuffs handy, Tableau has given small things which basically helps you in creating a report. Okay, now you identify there are few existing data sources. So Tableau has, like, you may have worked on SQL Server or any other reporting or database tool, you have a sample database. right, which you can use for your reporting. Similarly, Tableau also have a database which is basically a sample store. Okay, so this is like a sample store. I can click on the sample store. Okay, so you can see that sample store data is basically being included in my report. Okay, so now I have a third data set, which is a sample data set. It just directly shows you, okay, this is my data set. Now this is one of the very beautifully constructed data source. So it is will have a good data, number of own data, so that we can analyze our report properly. Okay, now this is altogether what we talked about, the different options regarding the data and data source. Okay, now you see I have a 2-3 data sets, okay, which are available here. So first we will discuss this thing in detail. Okay, so let's say I have this sample store. I go here and click here. You can see when I click here, can you identify what kind of report it is, what kind of data source it is? You can see it here and see it's a Tableau extract. Okay, when I go here and connect to edit connection, it goes to the file TDS files, and you have a superstore hyper, right? So it's a extract file. So let's say anyone, a user can create an extract, right, and create an extract and use that extract and share with their friends, and they can use also that particular data set. So you don't have a option like an option where you are restricted to access any database. They can create an extract and give it you that extract for your reporting layer. Okay, now you can see all the columns which are there available, right? So I can go and show it to you that, okay, these are all my column names, right? I can click on the hidden if there are some hidden. Okay, and you can see there are some hidden, okay, which is there. Let's say this one, profit per customer. Okay, on unit estimate, I can unhide them if it is required. Okay, now once my data set is there, I can again go back to the report. Okay, one thing you have to analyze, which I think I missed earlier, that if it's extract, the source itself is extract, you don't have to create an extract again for that particular extract, because source itself is extract, right? It shows you an option. Okay, if you want to create a further extract, further filter extract, basically create an extract from extract you want, you can do that, but it doesn't going to impact much performance of your report because it's already an extract. One basically benefit of extract is also, as this particular extract is basically reading the file, right? We were discussing this thing. So this extract is already reading the file and showing you the data aggregated right here. Okay. So whenever the Tableau request for a data, it's basically reading the extract, and extract is responding it to the Tableau. As both are within Tableau, it will be having a more performance optimization. Okay, the performance will be more optimized. But in a live scenario where you send a request, the request goes to the different technology from Tableau to, let's say, Microsoft or Oracle, whatever, which basically understands the protocol and then understands the query required. Then based on that, it will read the data, it will populate the data in the Tableau. The Tableau for then identifies, okay, this is the response for my query. It will first interpret that, and then it will create the report. So there are many small steps involved, which basically makes live connection a little bit more, you can say, time consuming. Okay, but it depends on the application. Now I think you should be in comfortable position so that you can apply based on your live or extract based on different kind of scenarios. Okay, so now going back to the main stuff where we were discussing about the report. So you can see this is my normal view, right, and this is my sample store. Okay, you can see it is having some different kind of icons, which basically we can see its order in a folder like that. Okay, we are going to do it on your own. Okay, but this is just for a reference, so that if I have to explain something in more detail, in a more clear view, I can use that particular data set. So if now here you can see I have used two tables. One is coordination, one is main, right? So now my Tableau is also showing me two tables in the my data source window. So you can see dimensions and measures. So first we will discuss what is dimension, and then we will discuss what is measures. Okay. Today's session we will at least clear the concept of the dimension and measures and different features available, so that we walk through with a proper and more comprehensive way to the next steps. Okay, these all both steps are very important, so please make sure that it is clear. Okay, so now once you have a extract ready or whatever your data source ready, okay, for your reporting layer, you will see the dimensions and measures from that particular data source. Now you can see, if I have a multiple tables, okay, joined in a single data source, I will have this layer which shows that okay, this particular column is coming from table A, this particular column is coming from table B. Okay, so you can see you have a bifurcation of a coordination and main, right? Now the same thing you can see in the measures also. Now what is a dimension and what is a measure? Okay, it is something which I think you should know earlier, but let me explain it. So you have a field, let's say name, okay, sex, address, okay, phone number. These all are descriptive values, right? Which
Dinesh,
basically
we are.
talks.
Hello.
Hello.
Dinesh, your screen is idle actually. Are you moving? Yeah, okay. Okay, now it's okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not basically, yeah. So I'm talking about this particular area. I think we all know. Okay, so again, I'm say talking about this dimension. So yeah, so what we are talking about, what is a dimension, right? So dimension is basically is a descriptive field, right? Let's say name, address, phone number, which basically talks about a particular entity, okay, and describe that. So that is basically dimensions, and measures are something which basically we aggregate and quantify. So let's say profit, sum of a profit, average of a profit, right? Similarly, you have sale, how much sales have happened, okay, what is my ratio, okay, footfall ratio, like that, different KPIs which are being analyzed. Those KPIs are the basically the matrices, right? And dimensions are basically descriptive field. Okay. Now let's say talk about something which basically people get confused, age. Okay. So when you talk about age, which is a number, right? Whether it's a dimension or it's a measure, it's a dimension, right? Because it basically descriptive analysis of a particular entity or object, right? Which is basically a person or customer, whatever. Now, if I do a aggregation of a age and I say that okay, average of ages, okay, if I do average of ages, then it becomes a aggregation which basically a measure that what I'll say that okay, in my class, what is my average age? Okay, so this the same field is being used as a measure. So then that average of ages is basically a measure, okay, of my whole class. So you need to be very much clear which one you will use descriptive, which one you will use as a matrices. Okay. So now let's discuss something when I right click here. Okay. So this is the first step which you will see everything. Okay. The first option is to add to sheet. When you do add to sheet, what happens? It just add to the report layer. Okay. Then you have a show filters. What will happen? It will basically add the filter here. So you will have see all the filters applied. So you will have this normal filter where you can do this selection and all the stuff. We will discuss this thing in detail, but let me just show it to you everything one by one. Duplicate means that it will duplicate the particular field. So when I do a duplicate here, what happens? It create a calculated field. Okay, so it will go and create a calculated field which you can edit here. Okay, and there you can see that it is just a new field with the reference to the old field. Okay, so it is basically just a calculated field. Okay, now why we create calculated field we'll discuss later on, where you just understand it is more being used for my complex normal scenarios where I want to further add a logic or define a logic to my reporting layer. Okay, now you can see here the different data types. So I have a number of a decimal, number of a whole, date, time, date, string, like that. Okay, these are different. The same stuff which we discussed earlier is basically all the different data types. Now here you can rename it, you can hide that, you can alias it. Now alias is something different. Let's say I I'll add something which is relevant here. So you can see I added a question one, right? Now tomorrow I have multiple values and I want to call it. I go and see open the analysis, and let's say I want to rename it. Let's say something like QUES number one. Okay, so let's say I want to alias it. So basically I just want to name it differently, but for my all the query purpose, all my data from the backend, everything remains the original one. So basically what you are aliasing here is only for the visualization purpose, first of all. So whatever you see, instead of Q1 you are seeing a question one, right? But it is not going to impact your database, your data layer, everything remains intact. So everything will be showing in the same format what is being done. Okay, so that is the one thing. The second thing is that now going to this analysis, you can have option of create calculated field, group, set, parameters. So just understand that thing, that what is a calculated field. So calculated field are nothing. Let's say you have to create your own calculation. Okay, and the data which is provided is not having that particular analysis or logic. Let's say I have a first name and last name in my data, but I don't have a full name in my data. Okay, so let's say if you don't have a full name in the data, but you know how you can derive that it would be first name, last name, and in between of that there should be one space. So I identify this is the first name, this is the last name, right? So that level of calculation can be done at a normal reporting layer. Okay, so when I right click here, create calculation field. So let's say I have REST token. Okay, and that is basically in a, now I just add it here. Okay, and let's say I add it with my question. Okay, so let's say I add it with my question. So now this is my calculated field. Okay, I can name it, otherwise I can just keep it like that, and I just add to the sheet. So you can see at the end of every value I am getting the question one, but now it is not showing properly that okay it is showing it properly or not. By just adding a sum button, what I am doing, I am concatenating the two fields, but these two fields are string. Okay, But if it is an integer, let's say it is 1 plus 1, it will return 2. Okay. But if it is a string, which is basically like your name and alphanumeric things, so then it will be showing 1 and 1, 11. Okay. So again, what I'll do, I'll just add a button, space here, and which I can add it like this. Okay, I added double space. I can apply it. Okay, when I apply it, I can see it right now also that okay, this is all together, the stuffs are there, and this is my particular uh, field created with a normal concatenation of a two different fields. Okay, now you can see this question 1 is not coming here. Okay, it is showing q1 q1 q1. Why? Because that aliases is only for question. Okay, and this is something different, this is something new created. So then if you want to determine aliases here, I have to write the logic that okay, question 1 should be called as a question 1, and this all thing we will do in detail when you will do a detailed calculation field session. Okay, so right now the objective is to just to make sure that you understand what are the different things, so that when you do yourself you can able to relate the stuffs. Okay, because whatever I explain, if you are not going to explain and work on your in a home, it is not of no use. Now here you have another option of a group. Okay, what group means? The group means is that basically it will group the different value of a particular field. Okay, so let's say I have a group, I do something from a superstore because I have a very better data there. So let's say I have a category here. Okay, and I go here and group. Okay, so you can see I have a group furniture office supplies. Okay, so what it is showing that there are three values in the field category. So let's say today I'll add these two. Okay, I select these two and add group it together. Okay, so when I group it, I'm just showing furniture and office supplies. Okay, now I have group furniture and office supplies, and I have technology in my group category. I can include others, so all the other fields will be included in other. Okay, and then I can press OK, and you will find there would be a category group is created. Okay, let's create a separate sheet for this so that you can analyze it properly. That I have this category, I have a category group. Okay, I'm sorry. So I have a category group, and you can see the data here, right? So it is showing that these two things are grouped together. But what is the difference here is that this group is calculated manually. Okay, so basically we have not developed any logic here. We have done a manual way of creating a group, and that is the difference between a group and a set. Okay, in Tableau, a group is a manual operation which basically we identifies and create a group. Okay, move these fields or values together in a group, but without any logic. There is no logic behind this. Okay, why I did this? Okay, because there is no field is there. But when I create a set, let's say if I go and click on a country, okay, and I go here and create a set. Okay, so you can see it shows United States. Okay, but it shows you a condition also that okay, create a set. Okay, where particular categories value is in this range. Okay, or you can create a set where you have top 10 values based on particular field. Okay, so let's say I want to create a set of a customers, okay, who are performing well based on their sale. So let's do something like that. Let me search that thing. So if I have to identify that do I have a customer, There is a search option here where I can write customer and I see that there is a customer thing is there. Okay, I go here, create a set. So now I have a list of the all customers. I can go and here go and click and just say the top 10 customers based on, let's say I see a sales here, okay, by sales, okay, and I just rename it. Let's say anything I can rename. I rename it more general at top customer by, okay, press OK, and let's do this particular customers, okay, so that we see that okay it is showing properly or not. I remove these two data sets. So you can see this right now showing the customers and their sale, right? And let's say I sort it down. Okay, so I have an option here to sort this thing. When I click this, it will again sort it based on data. So you can see these are the different customers sorted out. Okay, now I have a top 10 customer set created. I can add it in filters. So what will happen? It will directly filter the data which are in top 10 customers. Let's say I want to show the users which are out of this particular set. Okay, so I can directly select out of the set and have the list of the customer which are out of this set. Okay, so that is basically a purpose of set, that it is based on a logical condition and creating a list of the values which basically being used for my reporting layer. Okay, so that is basically objective of a set and how it is different with a group. So what I am telling you right now is just a thing which basically practically implemented, and every day people ask these questions. Okay, so basic conceptual questions which basically is very easy when you understand it once in a right way. Okay, and then later on if you follow it then it will be with you always. Okay, so now going to the second option is that what are the other fields are there. Okay, so you have the create group set, right, which we discussed. Now we will discuss about parameters. So what parameters are? So parameters are basically, let's say I have a list of the values, okay, and I want to create a variable which basically gets hold of this data. So whatever I select, based on that my calculations are changing. For example, let's say I have a field for this particular section. Okay, I want to have a field, let's say mtd, ytd, qtd. Okay, and whatever I select based on that, my calculated field should show the value. Now that is a parameterized value. So basically based on whatever I select, it should have a value. So it means that let's say MTD will have a separate logic, QTD will have a separate logic, YTD will have a separate logic. So if I change that parameter value, automatically that corresponding logic should apply. Now going back to one of the simple examples which basically we are talking about right now and seeing that if I do a region parameter, you will see these other fields values are coming. Why? Because I clicked on the region and then asked about the parameter. That is why it is showing these values. Otherwise I can right click and create a new parameter and automatically I will have blank stuffs. Okay, now here I can select my data type, my values, and press OK. Okay, and what will happen, it will, let's say I just do a normal value w. Okay, something I just added here. Okay, and then press OK. So you will see that there is a parameter created. Okay. Now I can go and show parameter control. You'll find that value here. Okay. And then you can select it. Now based on whatever you select, it is not going to impact my current report. Why? Because this parameter is not being used as a condition somewhere. Not in the calculated field, not in the filters, not where. Okay. So irrespective we created a region parameter, it is of no use till the time it is being applied to any calculation or filters in the report. So parameter is something you can say it's a variable which can hold a value. Okay. And once it holds a value, you can say that okay, these are the different dependent calculations which are depending on the value holded by a parameter. Now if the parameter holds value b, now as simple as when it changes from A to B, all my calculations which are being dependent on the parameter should also calculate and give the result based on the value B. Okay. So let's say I have again repeating that I have one option here. Okay. And I have a logic developed. Okay. And whenever I select option A, my option A results will come. Whenever I select option B, my option B result should come. So then we use a parameter. Okay. You can, let's say for a simple example, let's say I do a top n. Okay. Whatever I do, let's say I here change my parameter and create it a parameter in a form of integer. Okay. And let's give it a blank field. Okay. And here you can say top n. Okay. It means that any value which you are giving it, and by default value I make it, let's say a small value, let's say 11. Okay. Now this is my set, right? This is my set, and let me just clear this filter again. So I am getting all the data here, and this is one set I created at the bottom. So you can see this set section, you will have all the sets created. I go here and I go and edit the set. Now this is my 10 value, that is why it is showing 10. Now I created one parameter here, top n. Okay. And now this logic is dependent on based on top n. And now let's say I added it as a filter. Okay. So you have in and out, you can see this. Okay. Let me add it as a filter. So you can see now, right now it's 11 showing. I make it 3. Automatically showing 3 or 4, whatever. Okay. So whatever I change, automatically it is basically reflected in the calculation. So this is my parameter. Okay. How it is going to calculate that. Now we will discuss more scenarios, complex scenarios on each of them. Okay. But again, I think today we will be only going to cover the basic analysis. What are this? So now what is this transform? Transform is splitting and custom split. Let's say I have this customer name. Okay. Now this customer name, we all know that it is having a space, right, in the first name and last name. Now I want to divide this field into a 2 fields, right? And based on this, what I am trying to do, based on a space, right? And based on the space, I want to split it into 2 names. Okay. You can see I have now 2 names, customer split 1 and all. I can drag and drop and put it here. So I can see my fields are getting splitted based on the first name and last name. Okay. So you can have this thing done that if it is, let's say, a predefined value that you know that okay, I just need to divide it based on a particular delimiter. It could be anything, space, colon, comma. So you can do that kind of small cleaning through using this transform option. Okay. Now convert to measure. So basically Tableau holds like, okay, you may identify it that all the numbers are converted into measures, all the descriptive fields are divided into dimensions, but there could be a scenario where, as per the logic, order ID should be in the dimension, but you are considering it as a measure. So you can right click here and convert and switch back to the measure or a dimension. Okay, so that is just an option to do that. Now you have an option here, change data type. Okay, and here again you will see the different data types are there. Okay, name, field and all, right? You have all the options are available, which is there. You see, you don't have you have all the numbers and all those stuff are there. Now you can see there's a geographical role. Okay, so whatever the string is there, you will have a geographical role, and you identify that, okay, this is my city, this is my region, this is my county, and now we will discuss this thing in detail. Okay, I'll create another sheet. Okay, so let's say I have this country right on the left hand side. So now I have this country, and if I drag and drop country here, what will happen, friends, that it automatically generates this latitude and longitude. Okay, and identifies that as a country. Okay, now let's say it's a hierarchy created, it's automatically a hierarchy created, but we have not discussed it, so I'm not going to explain it right now. So let's say I do a region. Okay, so you can see there are 4 regions are showing here. Okay, and that I can label it and show it to you. Okay, that, okay, this is my region. Now I have a different options here. I can do something like this. So you can see that they are different: central region, west region, south region and east region. Okay, so I have 4 regions divided. Okay, now for each region I can also add state. So you have all the states showed, right, blocked like that. So how it is happening that Tableau knows that this area is only the state, this area is only this state? So because Tableau holds a data repository within itself, which basically take cares of all the field of the name. So where this considers that, okay, this is a geographical role and this is a state. Okay, if you go here, this is state. So what happens if you go in the map section and there is the option of edit location? Okay, Tableau has a list of dictionary. That, okay, this field you say country is a state, country is a state. Okay, state basically. So you see all the values based on that. So you can see, okay, these are the values which are coming based on the particular value. Let's say you have a country, let's say North Korea, and it is not mentioned, and you mentioned Korea. So you can map that kind of dictionary. Let's say your data talks about US instead of United States. So you can check that thing. Okay, so this is the place where you do a data dictionary, and Tableau also holds the data dictionary of all the countries. Okay, so it has a very good list of the all zip codes, everything and all, and then it holds the lat and long of all that. So it not only hold the names, okay, it also hold the lat and long, and it uses it to represent their maps. Okay, so that is how it is. Tableau uses OpenStreetMaps, so it is open source here, and you can see that particular analysis here very clearly. Okay, so this is about the geographical role. Okay, how I can do this. Then I have a default properties like comment. Okay, comment, you can comment your field. Okay, so that you can add, okay, this particular field is about what. Okay, that you can do. You have a color. So let's say I colored my field. Okay, so I say these should be my 4 field colors. So automatically these field colors will be applied to all the sheets. Okay, so irrespective of how many sheets I you will use, the region red, the color red will be given to west. Then you can do that. Similarly, shape, that okay, what shape is being applied to what field. So let's say east, north, yes, that I can make generic and I can use it my report. So these are like a simple default properties. Okay, you can change it later on, but these are the default properties. Now you have this group by folder and data source table, and what it is about, let me discuss that. So I have to go again back to the some clean data sources. Okay, you have an option here, group by folder and create the folder. Okay, so first of all, when you go here and click here, you will see group by folder. You have to first select group by folder. Okay, now it is showing group by folder. You can go to folder and create a folder. Basically, it's just a normal way to basically group your columns. Like these are the columns based on the, let's say these are the column based on my CID. So all the IDs are column populated together. Like that, I can create multiple folders, and I want to arrange my columns in the particular folders. So then I can do similar kind of work. So similarly, they have done the same thing. Like all the customer fields are put in here, all the order related fields are kept together. Okay, so that you can arrange them in proper way. So that is the basically reason for that. Okay, only thing is that you just keep reminder to group by folder. If you don't keep group by folder, you will not able to see the folder structure. Okay, so that is the one thing which basically related to the how you analyze and put it into a proper way. Now then I can go and create a hierarchy. What hierarchy means? Okay, so you can see here there is an option to add a hierarchy also. So there are two hierarchies already created in the data source. One is basically location, another is product. Okay, so location right now already there. You can create your own hierarchy also. What hierarchy means? Let's say I have a three things. One is like a subcategory, category, and main category. Okay, yeah, or I can say subcategory and category. Now what I want that when the user sees the category, you can drill down and see the below category or subcategory. So then we know that this data is in form of a hierarchy. Like say another example, year, quarter, month. So we know that year is at a higher level, quarter is at a below level, and month is at a below level, right? So if a user want to analyze, it can comes from year, quarter, and month. Okay. So we already know that this is kind of a hierarchy. So I can have a different fields and right click add to hierarchy. Okay, and I can add to existing hierarchy or I can create my own hierarchy. Okay, and then you can see I have created my own hierarchy. I can add the fields. Let's say split 1 and then split 2, right? And when I analyze it in the report, you see my first name is coming up, and you will have a excuse me, excuse me. So you have a plus button here. So when I click here, it will give me the second name. Okay, whatever the name or the second level of the hierarchy it's showing up. So this is the way you define your hierarchy. Okay, you see and also identify the hierarchy icon is different. Okay, it is something like a pyramid which shows one node and bottom two nodes. Okay, like that you can identify it very clearly. Now I have an option of a refresh reference. Now let's say I have a customer any field used which is being used in all my report. Okay, now tomorrow I know that okay that field is wrong and I have to replace all my logics in whole report. Not even logics, the places it has been placed, the reports which has been created using field, it is being wrongly used and now I have to replace it with the new field. So I just need to right click and reference it properly. What will happen once I reference it and press OK? All the places where that field was used, it will be replaced by something else with a new name given to you by you. So let's say, for example, I have everything which is being done based on the sales. Okay, so let's do. We have a so same option which you see here is also available on the sales in the measures also. So now let's say I replace with the profit. Okay, so all my logics where it has been created, okay, everything is being replaced with the profit. For example, this sheet we use sales, now it is showing profit. Now we created a set, right? So let's see the set also, what the logic changed or not. So you go here and see the profit logic has been moved instead of sales. So basically it is a very easy way of making sure that you are pointing it to the right field, okay, without any headache. And it's so fast, by a single click you can do that. Okay, so that is now the flexibility of a Tableau, that you can use so many things, okay, so easily. Okay, now the last thing which basically in the dimensions we have to discuss is describe. It is as simple as the old one. You have the value, you have the field names. I click on load, I see all the values which are seeing here. Okay, so whatever the things you see in the report, it is showing here and with all the information. So yeah, so I think will wind the session now. Okay, because if I start majors, it will take another 1 hour to describe that. Okay, but this is the two things which basically we wanted to cover today. One was the data source, and second is the dimensions. What are different dimensions? What are different features available and all. Tomorrow we would be basically not tomorrow, or the next week. We would be discussing about uh, the majors. Okay, we will be using different things there, and we will have discussed parameters and sets today, right? So we will discuss the majors, and then maybe we will create some basic reports next so that we have a application knowledge about all these things. Okay, and then slowly we will be work on all the advanced features which is at the top, so that we use it
So,
and then analyze it, so that we make sure that we remember
Dinesh,
it all.
Dinesh,
Yes, yes.
yeah, Dinesh, actually, I need to leave now, so I have some work. Can you send me this PPT, PowerPoint, and then video?
Yeah, so
Okay, just send it to my Gmail ID. Yeah.
see, the team will be doing it. I have already shared with, so
Okay,
they
okay.
will be, yeah, the team will make
Yeah,
sure
they
that,
will be sharing today, right?
yeah, they will share it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Just PPT and
Okay.
the video. Thank you. We will see you on next week, Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye. Okay. So thank you for your time. Okay. We will meet next week.